Hi, my name's Lisa and I'm part of the Adventure Racing Countries Working Group. We are reaching out to you through country representatives because there's stuff happening in adventure racing internationally at the moment. I know, you don't care for the politics and the administration of sport, you just want to race. The thing is, if it doesn't affect you now, these things do affect you along the way. Over the next couple of minutes, I'm going to explain the situation to you, and then please get involved with your country, speak to your representative, and be part of making decisions about what happens in your sport. A few weeks ago, I saw this article on the Sleep Monsters website. The article deals with adventure races being called obstacle course races, the challenge that adventure racing has had in defining itself in any case, and about adventure racing standing up for itself, because if you do nothing, well, then adventure racing's identity will continue to be eroded. Ever the journalist from this, I went to the World Obstacle website just to have a look and see what was happening there. World Obstacle is the snappy name for the International Federation of Obstacle Sports, the federation under which obstacle course racing and ninja exist, and adventure racing. Of course, I knew about the A1 series events, which started in Australia and then to South Africa and then to New Zealand, and focusing on 24-hour events. Great idea. And while I'd heard a little bit about World Finals and World Cups, I didn't know about another Expedition Racing World Championships. I wasn't quite sure how these fitted in with World Obstacle, but anyway. By this time, I'd caught wind of a meeting that was happening on the 18th of February, hosted by World Obstacle. The focus of the meeting was around international federations and structures and governing bodies. What does it do? Does adventure racing need it? And then looking for nominations for a technical committee. The meeting was a lengthy 3-hour affair, but there were many positive outcomes from it. Questions and comments came up in the meeting about adventure racing being compared to obstacle course events, and whether the adventure racing community had been consulted about being adopted under World Obstacles Federation. Others also asked that, while World Obstacle is one option, well, surely the adventure racing community can look to see, well, what are their other options to find the best one that fits adventure racing. And many times in the meeting, World Obstacle made it very clear that adventure racing has the right to choose what they would like, and it's only adventure racing themselves that can decide on the best governance structure for the sport. The participants were also happy to listen to information about an international federation and how this can benefit adventure racing, but they weren't crazy about nominations coming in for a technical committee before the sport of adventure racing had had a chance to have their say. A working group was formed, and the working group was tasked with reaching out to adventure racing countries to speak to their federations, representative organizations, or individual representatives within that country, especially for those who do not have federations or associations, to get their input and feedback so that the countries themselves can vote for the direction that they want to see their sport going in. The minutes and notes for the World Obstacle meeting have been published. I'll post a link below. It's worth having a look at them. The working group consists of 4 of us. There's me from South Africa. There's Damon, ex-South African, who's living in the UK and involved with the UK adventure racing. And there's Cormac from Ireland and Lars from Denmark. Over the last 3 weeks, we've been reaching out to adventure racing countries to determine their federations, associations, or national contacts. A week ago, we hosted an information session on Zoom for interested countries to look at the options available to adventure racing. The way we see it, adventure racing has 4 options. The first is to join World Obstacle. The second is to explore other options for joining another international federation of an aligned discipline, something like triathlon or orienteering. Number 3, we can establish our own independent international adventure racing association or federation. And the 4th option is none of the above, to do nothing. Of course, each one of these has pros and cons. I'm going to direct you to the slides from the presentation as well as the notes from the information session. Please look through those and you'll see that the pros and cons of each of the options are highlighted. Of course, you'll probably be able to add a couple more to each of those columns. Here's the challenge with adventure racing. It's one of those sports that is unlike anything else. The people who participate in it love the rugged, wild nature of it, the variables, the unknowns, the ungovernableness of the sport. You pick an event, you enter, and you race. For the most part, adventure racing comes without the restrictions and limitations of other disciplines, like swimming, athletics, cycling, where licenses and memberships are necessary. But while even I shy away from structure and governance, I do think that doing nothing is not an option. The most wonderful thing to come out of the World Obstacle Meeting on the 18th of February is that adventure racing countries are networking and talking to each other. They're sharing experiences, they're sharing resources, and together they're looking at a way forward for adventure racing. It's important to keep in mind that the decisions made now are not as much for us, but for the adventure races that are to come. The working group has outlined a number of next steps. Their first was to distribute notes from the meetings so that national representatives can speak to their communities. It is then up to those communities to discuss and decide which option they think will work for adventure racing. The representatives then complete a survey, the results of which will be reviewed. If you've stuck with me so far, thank you. And now we get to the actual reason for this video, to speak to you, adventure racers, team representatives, event organizers, and country representatives. We have the opportunity to be part of the decision on the direction that adventure racing takes in terms of a structure for the sport going forward. For now, I see 4 steps to the action that we need to take. The first one, you're just about done with, and that's watching this video. Then please look at the documents for the links that have been provided. Depending on the country that you're in, the next step is probably a Zoom meeting between racers, team representatives, event organizers, or country representatives. Before Adventure Racing International does anything like joining an international federation or association, it needs to be a something. This will be a topic of discussion. If your country doesn't have its own adventure racing national structure, this may be an opportunity to get your own house in order. Then your representative will circulate an online survey. Please fill that in. And for the last step, for countries without national organizations, see if you can get at least 4 people together, the size of an adventure racing team, to see where this is going and to be able to feedback and represent your community. Don't be shy, get involved, and nominate yourself. Please reach out to the representative from your country who has made contact with you. If you don't know who to contact, please email arcountries@gmail.com and the Adventure Racing Working Group will help to direct you to the right person. Okay, that's it from me. Thank you very much for listening. We look forward to listening to you.